we've got the guys open, we just missed them. And there are times when coverage dictates you go to that guy. So I think we can do a better job of utilizing the deep ball in our game plan, more of or less of. So each and every week's so different. But when they're there, we need to hit them. We can't have them going off our fingertips, and we can't overthrow them. We have Tom calling a lot of his own. We're picking his own on the sidelines, from the game plan. So I don't think it's a confidence problem whatsoever. It's just still it's not lack of trust. It's just lack of continuity within the offense.
All right, Christopher is suffering from a condition that my wife would very much like to acquire, the inability to hear me. We will get that fixed, and Chris will be rejoining us very soon. It's kind of hard to have a conversation when one of the parties involved can't actually hear what the other person is saying. We've heard plenty of what Bruce Arians has had to say this year about Tom Brady, and at times it's passive-aggressive. At times it's aggressive-aggressive. Lately, it's been more subtle, but when you string together the various words, and when you add to what he said yesterday, things that were uttered during his weekly radio show on Tuesday night, there really is a sense that the blame is being placed on Brady, not the coaching staff, not the playbook, not the game plan, not the play calling, not the blocking, not the receivers. Receivers are open, Bruce Arians says. The pass blocking against the Rams was very good, Arians says. Arians said last night on his radio show that on offense, it comes down to whether or not the quarterback plays well, period. And he also reiterated that the second interception thrown by Brady, the one that clinched the game with fewer than 2 minutes to go when the Buccaneers were trying to drive for a potential game-tying field goal or game-winning touchdown, that was a poor throw, poor decision, poor read. Now, at times, Arians will say, well, he needs continuity, he needs more reps. Well, he needs to say that more often because all too often, it's a slap at Tom Brady, a poor throw, a poor decision, a guy's open, blocking's there, and Chris is back. Chris,
hi.
We've been talking about the Bruce Arians comments. It's great to have you back.
Oh, my gosh.
Quit messing with your cords.
I don't know.
Whatever it was, it's just like COVID. Whatever it is, it's your fault that it happened. It's your fault that you couldn't hear.
I take the responsibility. I'm back out here. I'm ready to go. I've heard a little bit about what you were saying there. I missed the start of the segment. Of course, saw the Bruce Arians comments and everything like that. Mike, I don't know exactly where you left off. But here's what jumps out to me, all right, with the Brady. This is very weird what's going on right now. It just seems like there's a clash of cultures. That's really all there is to it. It to me seems like, hey, Brady wants to run shotgun, spread it out. I'll pick you apart 5 and 6 yards at a time, be surgical. That's how smart he is, right? That's the biggest strength in his game, his brain, his experience, all the defenses he's seen, all of that. That's great. But Tampa's not like that. They don't have, Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich don't have the extensive spread offense and all the rules and creative ways that we saw Brady expose teams with for so long in New England. They're not. Bruce Arians, his whole life, has played a different style of football. So he's not going to have 150 plays for Tom Brady to pick apart people, 5 and 8 and 10 yards at a time. And that's where it's a clash of cultures that way. And they can't offer that part of their offense for Brady to, take it over that style of football play. And then what they want him to do is, of course, hold the ball, make plays in the pocket, do things like that, throw the ball down the field. He doesn't want to do that. You can see that. He doesn't want to pull the trigger into tight windows down the field, and he doesn't want to stand in the pocket. Again, we could talk about Sunday night or Monday Night Football again. They tried to make a deal like he was getting pressured on TV, and it was just the opposite of that. The numbers bear that. He got pressured, the 8th least in football last week. So the protection was phenomenal. Everybody makes excuses for Tom Brady. That's where I came to my wits' end. Hey, he's 43. He's allowed. Everybody else is expected to move in the pocket, make a play, do something. But for Brady, it's like, hey, he didn't have 7 seconds to throw. That's messed up. Let's do a pack on Brady being pressured. He's only getting 7 seconds every time he drops back to pass. That's just BS. I'm sorry. I'm going to call it like it is. People are scared to say it because it's Tom Brady and all of those things. But nobody, he gets a different standard. And maybe he's earned that to a degree. But, I'm from the what have you done right now? This is football right now. We'll talk about 2004, after when we have a beer or whatever. But right now, we're talking about football now, and this is the issue with the Bucs and where they're at with their offense.
Well, I think one of the reasons you and I get along so well is that we both agree with this concept that if everyone else out there is going to blindly heap praise on someone, we're going to fill in the gaps where they need to be filled in,
right,
and point out that piece of spinach that is clinging to Tom Brady's teeth when everyone else is afraid to do so, because it's only fair and it's only proper. We criticize those who deserve to be criticized. We praise those who deserve to be praised. And I think when we see someone being praised over the top who doesn't deserve to be praised over the top, we have to call it out.
Right.
And, Arians talked about this potential tension between what plays they're calling and throwing the ball down the field. And he said we have Tom calling a lot of his own plays or picking his own plays on the sideline from the game plan. So that's the thing that I can't figure out. Is this Tom Brady wanting to show off his arm? Or is this Bruce Arians' no risk it, no biscuit? And one of the flaws in no risk it, no biscuit is the quarterback's got to have enough time to biscuit.
That's right.
And he did. And he did.
And he's but he's 43, and he's just not going to take over games that way anymore. He wants to take them over mentally. Don't make me have to do too much physically. Let my mind and my arm and accuracy just do it and go from there. But he's with a team that, like we talked about, just doesn't have the, extensive offense and plays and all that way to really utilize Brady's greatest strength at this point of his career. And we're seeing, there's a reluctance in Brady to, like we saw in the deep ball we saw one that went off of Antonio Brown's fingertips. Hey, sure. We saw other ones that weren't even catchable. I mean, come on. This is arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. He's not even giving them a chance. So he's got to be a little bit more aggressive and fearless that way to just go, all right, it's a 50-50 ball. But it's not really a 50-50 ball with Mike Evans. It's more like a 70-30 ball when you have a guy like him. But he's making it a 0-0 ball and not even giving him a chance or anything like that. So I think there is that aspect, and I think Bruce Arians is frustrated probably with the, having to do both offenses, and he's used to guys being aggressive. He comes from Big Ben and Peyton Manning and, even Carson Palmer and, of course, Jameis Winston, who was like aggressive. So what? I threw 45 interceptions. So that's what he wants, and that's just not the way Tom Brady is at this point of his career. If he got Tom Brady 8, 10, 12 years ago, hey, they'd probably work and it'd be unbelievable. I don't doubt that. But right now, for where Brady is, he's not going to want to stand in there and do some of those things that we saw Big Ben and Peyton do under Bruce Arians back in their primes.
And here's where some of the subtlety creeps in, because we're used to Bruce Arians clobbering you over the head with his words and not mincing in any way the words he uses to explain a situation. He was asked yesterday about the criticism that the offense isn't fitting what Tom Brady does well. To your point, not being spread out, forcing him to throw the deep ball. Arians said of Brady, he can do anything, so it's not like he can't do it. I see him do it all the time.
Right.
That, to me, is...
He's
that's
changing
a backhanded
in game.
slap in the face. And it's in practice it's fine. They asked about the deep ball in practice. We connect on those all the time in practice, he said. Arians said. So, something's going wrong in the games. But Chris, where does the responsibility of the coach to understand that there is a disconnect and to adjust accordingly? And I just wonder where Brady is in all this. Why isn't he taking over like Peyton Manning did in Denver and saying, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. Hey, Byron Leftwich, put this in the playbook. This is what I'm going to call. This is the play I want. They're creating the impression he's doing that, and it's still not working. That's what makes this all so damn awkward.
Yeah, no, you're right. First off, with the deep balls in practice and all those things, that's where I'll go back. He can't be hit in practice. There's no pressure there. there's no pressure mentally or physically. So obviously there's something that goes on with the game there that changes the way he throws it or his approach to it or whatever. You know, you bring up the Peyton Manning thing. Certainly, it's a little different situation because he took over at a place that, you know, was a defensive head coach. Adam Gase was a young offensive play caller, right? And they kind of did it a collaborative, you know, effort. Oh, and wanted to go to that style of football play. They get Wes Welker, right? They got those guys. You know, some of these receivers, and maybe this is why they got Antonio Brown. Mike Evans isn't made to play the Julian Edelman New England offense. He's not built for that, so he doesn't really fit it. Chris Godwin, to a degree, but he's still not a Julian Edelman, Wes Welker type. He's not that kind of guy. He could do some of that stuff. You know, Antonio Brown can fit into that role a little bit. Maybe that's why they went that way. But I think that's where it's different than Denver. And, hey, let's not forget in Denver, Mike, too. You know, in Denver, ultimately, they lose the Super Bowl and do that thing, lose the next year, right, in the divisional round to that was the Colts in 2014, right? But John Elway made a decision and said, hey, look, it's cool. We look cool. We're throwing 50 touchdown passes and do all that crap. But we're not going to beat the good teams in the AFC playoffs or win a Super Bowl if we continue to worry about our passing stats and numbers and things like that. So he calls Gary Kubiak, and things change that way, right? And they played a different style of football to win the Super Bowl. And I think Bruce Arians and Brian Leftwich thought that maybe they could slowly mold a Brady into what they wanted just through pushing him and success and all that. And I think it's taken a little longer than we all thought it would.
The entire situation reminds me of one of my favorite all-time lines from The Office, which will be streaming exclusively on Peacock coming up in January. Michael and Jan seem to be playing their own separate game, and it's called Let's See How Uncomfortable We Can Make Our Guests, and they're both winning. That's the situation in Tampa as of right now.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.